Hello everyone, it's Matt here and welcome to the review of 76080 Ayesha's Revenge, and it comes with everything you see here, including a drone ship, Ayesha with the remote control for the drone ship, and a piece of scenery representing the planet they're on. We also have a mining vessel, we have Star-Lord, Baby Groot in uniform, we also have Yondu with his whistling dart or spear, depending on which version you like to go at. So let's have a review of the set and its individual pieces.
The set consists of 3 bags of parts, 2 instruction manuals, 1 sticker sheet and a comic book which also links in with all the other Guardians of the Galaxy sets. The sticker sheet itself consists of 2 stickers for the sloped pieces just below the main cockpit and 4 stickers for cosmetic damage on the top of the hump.
So this is everything you build out of bag 1. So obviously we have the piece of scenery, we have Ayesha with the remote control, and then we also have the drone ship. The drone ship is as it essentially comes out of the after assembly, the only exception being I've not actually put in the firing mechanisms or the studs in the stud shooters. But that's essentially as it would be had it been assembled. I should point out that there's no stickers on the drone ship, so all the detailing is actually just parts. And out of bag 1, there's actually a fair amount of spares because obviously there's quite a lot of small pieces in the rock formation here, and there's quite a few tiny little parts such as the joystick and stud here for the remote control, and there's quite a few little pieces in there in the drone as well. The piece of scenery actually has a play feature, and that's why you have this Technic pin with this stud poking up. So if I put Ayesha on here and then turn it round, you can actually see that there's a little Technic piece here. So if I push this, no, it's this bit. Get it right. There's a little Technic piece here, so essentially if I push down on this, it flings up the 2x3 plate which is held on here, and then that flings up the character. I should point out, however, that the overall because the actual design of the parts, that's why you have this section here. Because if I took this section off, like so, this piece is actually removable quite easily, so that's why that's design it the way they have, to design it so that you've got a little extra piece here, and that's actually just to keep this Technic piece in. So Ayesha herself, I'll just follow the arm here so you can see the that. There's quite a nice lot of detailing, especially with the gold reflective lining on the outfit and for her eyes and some of the other bits of detail. And the face actually is two-sided, so if I take her hair off and flip that around, you can also see there's some more gold on the back print, and you'll have an angry face instead of the passive one, I want to say. There's no side printing on either the torso or the legs, and there's no back printing on the legs either, which is fairly, I'd say fairly standard. There's no printing on the arms either. So essentially the end detail you actually have is the front of the torso and the legs, and then the rear of the torso, some of which is actually hidden by the hair. For the drone, I think the biggest weak point of the drone is actually the back, because if you don't actually see this much in the promotional shots, but the back is actually really poor in terms of the parts usage and just the general aesthetics, because from the front it looks fairly gold, bronzy coloured with some black and possibly a bit of light grey here. But if you turn it round, you can see all this light blue colour. You can see that there's, the design sort of looks all right here, and then you get to this bit, it just looks like they've been trying to minimise parts usage, but to get some of the features there. And to be honest, I'd sooner have a better drone with those extra features than have this bit of scenery. In actual fact, this bit of scenery uses a fair amount of parts despite its small size, and there's also all the spares for this as well, which I think would have been put to better use actually building more of the drone. So that's bag 1 dealt with. Let's deal with bags 2 and 3.
Bag 2 begins assembly of the mining ship and includes some interesting pieces, including these 2x3 tiles in black and these 1x1 headlight bricks in trans clear, for which this is the third set they've appeared in 2017. Bag 3 also yields some interesting parts, including 2 identical printed dish pieces for the side of the ship, a bubble canopy piece which is used for the cockpit, and dart and hair pieces for Yondu, 2 of which are included each in the set, although one is actually a spare.
And this is what bags 2 and 3 assemble. It's the mining ship, as well as Star-Lord, Yondu, and Baby Groot, which actually came in bag 1, but is better suited to being included in this lot. So the features of the mining ship, so I'll take the figures away for look at later. So the ship itself was actually, despite its size, there's actually very few in terms of play features. You have a firing missile here, which fires at the front, and there is a spare bolt included. You can open up the sides of the vessel, so that's what it looks like with both flaps open from the top. And these just have some access to tools, so fire extinguisher and a spanner. And on this side you have a little cabinet which might be useful for a couple of things. And interestingly, those red ones you can see here are actually just to hold the doors in on the sides. The front of the vessel has a bubble canopy mounted, instead of being mounted like that, which you might normally see, it is actually mounted vertically. And you also have these little windows on the side here, which are I think are a rather nice feature. And the way they're built is that they're actually just panels, and all of this detail here is actually built onto the side of that panel using some bracket pieces, which is a really clever idea. To gain access to the cockpit, you actually have to pull back this whole hump section and this bit rear section here, and that opens up access for the figure to go in there, and at which point you can push it forward and it locks in. The interesting part is that pretty much the entire assembly of the ship is just to get that function working, and then everything is built around that. So if I actually take this canopy section off, not like that, you can actually sort of see the inside of the ship here, and you can actually sort of see that a lot of this is actually just hollow, and that's pretty much because of the way the sliding mechanism is actually constructed, just to get that actually into the build. So I'm going to flip open the sides here, and hopefully I should be able to put this back together too much of the problem. There we go. And there goes the missile. So there you go. There's that. And if I open up the sides, you can actually sort of see, with the top down, you can actually see into the access bit for the where you put the Yondu to actually get into the cupboard, or maybe Star-Lord. So personally, I would have preferred a better cockpit opening mechanism, so possibly this to have popped out, or for this whole section to have moved forward instead of having this section move back. But I will say that it's been executed fairly well. You can't really tell that functionality is there, and generally speaking it sort of is blended in very well. What I will say about this model though, is that you can see a lot of things in the detail because they're not masked. For example, you can see the fire extinguisher in the left hand side side panel, you can see the red Technic pin at the rear to hold these pieces in. You can see a lot of other colours which ordinarily you wouldn't want to see. So you can see that there's differences in the grey around the engine section. You can sort of see, for example, if I open this up, that pretty much all you can see is just the internals for the mechanism, because of just how much they had to use to get the mechanism in. But on the whole, I think this is a really good design, especially for the parts usage, and the fact that these dishes are printed is a really nice feature. And it is the same design both sides, there isn't a difference, but to be honest, that is a really nice design. It's all nicely printed, and I think it has actually 3 different colours, no, 3 or 4 different colours. You have the grey there, you have the dark maroon colour, you also have the black, and then you also have this gold printing. I think it's actually the same colour as Ayesha's lining, which is on the disc, and also for the number or serial there as well. So on the whole, I think this is a really nice design, but could possibly have done with a bit of extra work to get, you know, some of the extra, this sort of neatened up in there's a couple of places. On the whole, a nice design. So let's have a look at the figures from bags 2 and 3.
Have Star-Lord on the left and Yondu on the right, and these are all new prints for 2017 and the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 theme. Star-Lord comes with a rocket pack on the back as well as his 2 trademark pistols, and Yondu obviously comes with his gold whistling dart. Yondu has a new hairpiece for 2017, and Star-Lord uses the existing hairpiece as well as existing pieces for his rocket pack. The only thing to note here is that Star-Lord has an angry face as the second face, and you can see that here with his head turned around, showing off the new back print. Obviously Yondu doesn't have a alternate face due to the hairpiece.
So overall, what do I think of the set? Well, it definitely looks good, especially from the box art, but the set is not without its drawbacks. There aren't, if I was going to be specific about it, because obviously this is supposed to be a set designed for kids, and it does have on the box ages 7 to 14. So obviously in my 20s, obviously I'm not going to be the critic Lego are looking for, but what I will say is that the design of it for some parts is good, but the way they've had to put in some of the functions, some of the play features, detracts from the rest of it. The poor design from the rear of the drone, which I've just knocked over now, the poor design of the rear of the drone, the lack of some of the covering and features of this, for example the fact that the fire extinguisher is visible even when this is closed, the sheer size of the mechanism just to get a figure into the cockpit, who, to be honest, I've fitted Yondu in there. He even has trouble fitting in there because of the reduced seat access. The overall features, if you like, I think are really good. The play features, so for example, you've got the missile firing, you've got the stud shooters, you've got the rather boring but really well technically executed play feature where you push this pin and Ayesha falls off. But in reality, I think this feature here, the ground feature, could have been taken away and the parts used to build a better drone. The mining ship itself looks alright, but I would have preferred a system where the cockpit pulled forward, for example, to put a figure in, rather than the existing system where you had to pull essentially the top back and then fit a figure in. The figure selection is good. The fact that Groot is actually the mini Groot is actually a specialist printing and not one seen in other sets, means that you can have multiple groups of different designs, essentially. But overall, I'd probably give this set a hard to say. I'm probably going to say 8 out of 10. The design is there, the execution is pretty well spot on, but really it's just sort of a little nitpicking, sort of like, that's alright, but personally I prefer this. It's probably I'm obviously not the target audience, but if you know, that's what I'd sort of say, is that this sort of feature, the sort of rock feature, I'd sooner have that parts allocation used to improve the drone, or improve mainly improve the drone, but also possibly try to improve the actual mining ship. The figure selection I can't complain about. The printing, as usual, is excellent on the figures. And to be honest, I'm more nitpicking rather than actually drawing any actual real complaints. It is a well-designed set, I will have to say that. I will admit that, but you know, there are things personally I don't like about it. But anyway, that's my review of set number 76080. And I'll see you in the next video.